Hello there, what's going on everybody? Today we're going to be talking about field commanders in Star Wars Legion. What does that mean? How was it changed? Which ones are out there? Which ones are coming and may be coming? So, which is very, very fun. So we're going to talk all about this today. Also, new round of the giveaway starts right now. So if you're not already, make sure you enter to win that $25 Amazon gift card. All you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. Also, be sure to check the links in the description below. Hop in my Discord, join the community down there. We've got communities for Legion, X-Wing, Armada, as well as other board games, tabletop games, and sometimes we even do giveaways over in the Discord, so you won't want to miss that as well. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Field Commander, because Field Commander is a new, basically a new keyword that was put out a couple of months ago when we got some tanks for the Clone Wars factions. Our first one was Aayla Secura, as well as we got the T-Series Tactical Droid Pilot for the Republic and the Separatists, respectively. And basically, it just allowed you to play neutral command cards from a particular field commander, somebody that was in a tank, and it lets you, have your commander, since, with those factions, the commanders are for the most part wanting to be all up in stuff, right? Grievous is wanting to be swinging his lightsabers, and Dooku was wanting to be dueling with people, and all of this stuff. And so what if you sent your commander too far forward and you needed to issue orders back to your droid line or something like that? And it gave you the ability to play neutral command cards. But a lot of people didn't like that. It's like, well, that's kind of underwhelming. So it eventually got changed. And Field Commander has a very cool new ability now. Well, it's not that new. It's been out for a little while. But basically, the Rules Reference Guide, the updated Rules Reference Guide, now states that in addition to the normal effects of Field Commander, you can also ignore during list building, you can ignore the minimum commander requirement. So now you can build a list with no commander at all, which is exceptionally cool because all you need is a field commander. And so now when you deploy your field commander, instead of it being, currently they're only available in heavy supports. So instead of, like, if you wanted to just run droids with two maybe AAT tanks, you could now just have a field commander become your new commander. And then you'd be able to replace the tokens. It would no longer be a heavy support. It would now become your commander. And there you go. And the only problem with that is that you don't have a courage value for other people to use. So if you're using a vehicle, the Rules Reference Guide says that you're going to use a courage value of 2 for people to check your courage against. And that seems reasonable. But the more important takeaway from that is it makes some of those builds that were really hard to run, like double tank, because it's so expensive. Plus, for like somebody like the Separatists that have like 200-point commanders, you're like, how am I going to do 2 tanks and a commander and still have core and list building options? And so that's going to allow that to work. Of course, some people here in the United States are still waiting for those Separatist and Republic, generic command cards to show up so that we can actually make that a possibility. But, shipping is what shipping is. So we're just going to continue to wait. But a lot of people throughout the rest of the world have theirs already. So now that's something that people are starting to do. However, we got some previews of other things coming that look like we're going to be getting some more field commanders because, well, the Rebels and the Empire can't do that yet. And we know we're getting more heavies for the Rebels and the Empire. And we're like, wait a second, how am I going to run double ATST? How am I going to run double snow speed or something like that? How come General Weiss doesn't have, any field commander or anything like that? And so, there we got some previews. The AA5 speeder tank is coming, and the first new field commander that we know for sure is coming is Shriv Sergeev. So Shriv is coming. It's all but confirmed that he's going to be a field commander for the Rebels. The reason we know this is because the Asmodee Germany site released kind of a the insert that goes into the AA5 speeder tank. We got a whole build of it. We got all the cards that are coming with it. Of course, they were in German, but we also got keywords that needed a rules reference insert. And on the rules reference insert was field commander, and the only unique named character in that expansion was Shriv. So if we put 2 and 2 together, there's a pretty darn good chance that Shriv is going to be a field commander. It is, however, possible that they could have made generic field commanders, but it definitely makes you wonder, boy, I wonder if Shriv is going to have some of the same limitations that are like Ayla Secura has, for example, that maybe they can only go in one vehicle. Because a lot of the stuff that we saw in the AA5 speeder seems to be that it has some backwards compatibility and some cross compatibility, such that some upgrades that come in there might be usable on the snow speeder or on the land speeder. And wouldn't it be cool if Shriv could go in any heavy vehicle? That would be really something I would love to see that. And I'm curious what you guys, let me know what you're hoping for. Do you think Shriv will only be basically usable in a in the AA5 speeder tank, or do you think he's going to be the first field commander that is not like vehicle locked? And I think that's something that they could easily do, knowing going in that they wanted that to be a possibility. Whereas someone like Wedge, who might be restricted only to a snow speeder, well, okay, but maybe there would be balance issues. Of course, I don't think that's really the case here, but in some other cases, you want pilots restricted to a specific vehicle, but not necessarily always. So I think that'll be really interesting. But one of the things that this also tells us is that if the rebels are getting a field commander, well, naturally the Empire's got to be able to get a field commander also. And we do also know that the LAT LE is coming. Now, the LAT that's been spoiled for the Empire is also going to be a dual faction Republic vessel. And of course, it was shown in the Clone Wars on Coruscant. These were like Coruscant police vehicles. Rumors also were that they were going to be in Star Wars 1313. That never happened. They ended up showing up more heavily in Star Wars Rebels under the Empire, although the cool thing is the paint jobs, whether it was a Republic version or an Imperial version, are largely similar, so you'll probably get away with being able to go with Imperial Gray and having it look appropriate for either army. But definitely, since this has got to be where the Imperials are going to get their first field commander, and that's definitely an exciting thing. And so the question is, who would be a good Imperial field commander? And there's a lot of ways you could do it. You could go with a generic, maybe named a generic Imperial stormtrooper, or maybe like a stormtrooper sergeant or something like that, or you can go with a generic officer. But I think we're going to get Governor Price. I think Governor Price is the clear option, as she was seen flying around in Star Wars Rebels. I don't think getting Field Commander Price with something like this, it precludes the possibility of eventually getting maybe a miniature of her, but she's not somebody that really cries out to be on the ground in Star Wars Legion as her own miniature. If she's going to be anywhere, she's going to be well protected behind armor, because she's very much more of a dignitary, more so than a battlefield commander. So I think if she was going to battlefield commander, but she's not going to be on the ground shooting as much. She would rather be behind armor or behind the glass, kind of telling everybody else what to do. And so I think this is a good place for Governor Price to show up. I think there's a pretty good chance we'll see her come in the LAT, because she was also seen so prominently in Star Wars Rebels, and that's definitely something that they're doing. I mean, we're getting Callus. Makes sense to get Price also. Hopefully we'll get Thrawn one of these days. I mean, heck, maybe we get Thrawn. I think Thrawn's somebody that they're going to want to do a miniature for. So this is interesting. But one of the more interesting things is that this is a dual faction ship. Is it possible that we'll also get another round of field commanders? Like maybe there will be a Republic field commander to come in here. And if so, does that mean that the tanks, from the Kashyyyk battle that are coming in the next wave, are going to have more field commanders for the Separatists? There's a lot of questions there. And I hope so. I hope we get generic field commanders that can go in any vehicle or platform, and maybe they don't have a vehicle-based ability. Maybe they don't affect the vehicle itself, so they won't be overpowered in other vehicles. Maybe they just kind of generically serve as field commander. Maybe they increase that courage value for somebody, or maybe they increase the range of their, being able to, check for panic and things like that. More generic command type abilities rather than boosting the vehicle, so they don't have to be weighted against a certain vehicle. And that's what I would like to see. If we are going to see another Republic, I'd like to nominate Wolf as an option, so you, for all those people who are painting their stuff up for Wolfpack colors, we already have Plo Koon also, so wouldn't it be cool to have Wolf and Plo Koon in the same army? I would love to see that. I think that'd be a really, really cool thing to do. And there's plenty of other options, but I believe he was also like on the Lat Le, or in that episode, kind of leading the hunt for Ahsoka when those were being used. So like thematically, I think that also works, but I don't know if they're going to do additional field commanders for the Clone Wars factions, at least just yet. I kind of hope so, though, because it would stink once we get multiple vehicles. Like you can't run field commander unless you run a saber tank right now. And what if I don't want to run a saber tank? It's like that shouldn't be. You shouldn't have a vehicle locked commander, which makes me also come to another question. What if they do field commanders of people that are already commanders that don't now have to use generic command cards? Because that's another thing, is if you're running a field commander, you're now going to have to run all generic command cards, and there's no real versatility in that. And granted, unless you're running an operatives can then bring command cards into the play, and that much is fine. I think really, for me, and this is where I think I differ from some other people's opinions, and this is what I'd love to talk to you guys about. Are you more incentivized? Like, when you think of a field commander, do you think of running a field commander so that you can run maybe like 2 heavies, and be able to focus on vehicles and still have points left over for your core and special forces? Or do you think of it as an excuse to be able to run operatives without having a commander, right? Like, where does that point savings for you really matter? And for me, for the type of heroes that I like to play, if I'm going to not have to run a commander, I'm not going to then turn around and run an operative. Like, I don't want to do that, because a lot of the operatives I could just run a commander instead. Like, I like to have lightsaber users, right? So if I want to run Darth Vader, I'm like, well, I could just run Commander Vader as opposed to Operative Vader. I get that I lose the speed, but I've got the command cards to make up for that. I've got Infiltrate to make up for that. Same thing with Luke, or definitely with the Clone Wars, right? Dooku, great lightsaber wielder. I could run Maul, and I'd like the idea of running Maul, but I don't need Field Commander to do that. I could run Dooku and Grievous, or I could run Dooku and Maul. And there's a lot of lightsaber wielding commander potential, and I'm pretty sure Yoda, who's also coming for the Republic, is going to be a commander. So I don't need Field Commander to get me more lightsaber heroes. Granted, not all operatives use lightsabers. There's Cad Bane and Boba Fett and Bossk. I'm not a big fan of the operatives with guns as much, though. I want the operatives with lightsabers. So when I think field commander, I think here's an excuse to run double heavy, right? Because normally you can't really run double heavy, and that's what gets me excited. So it got me thinking, what if we had, in the spirit of double heavy and field commander, what if we had General Veers? Wouldn't he be the perfect field commander for the Empire? Well, the really cool thing about General Veers here is that General Veers already has command cards, but the unit issuing them wouldn't be General Veers. It would be, for example, if, let's just say, General Veers were in the Lat Le. Okay, I don't think they would. I mean, he could be, but let's say, I don't think the unit's not going to become called General Veers. There's going to be a Lat Le with a pilot of General Veers, or or crew, or whatever format they put him in. So I think what would end up happening in this case, if they did something like this would require another rules reference guide update. And the simple answer there would just be to add an extra paragraph. If your field commander has command cards, you can, basically, if the field, you can reference, you should be able to use your field commander's command cards, and reference the unique upgrade pilot that is the field commander, as opposed to the name of the unit. Because we're never going to see ATST command cards, but we may see, we do have General Veers command cards. So wouldn't that be cool to have General Veers as a field commander, allowing you to, to bring General Veers' command cards in there, or some other way, and this could be any commander that's already exists and has command cards. It might get a little dicey if you brought Darth Vader in there, though, because With cards like General Veers, it's saying you have to issue an order to General Veers. But if General Veers is just the upgrade and not the unit name, that would take some rules. I mean, we all know what it would mean. It would mean to General Veers' vehicle, right? But it would take some smoothing over with rules reference guides, legalese and stuff to make it all legally work the same way that we all think it should work. But that's something they may not do. They may just keep Field Commander as characters that are never going to show up as commanders. And that's kind of a bummer too, because you think back to, Ayla Secura. I know a lot of people really want to see Ayla Secura show up as a miniature in the game. And if that's the case, should you be able to use her command cards if she's on a saber tank as your field commander, as opposed to being on the ground, And I would like to see that be a possibility. But then again, maybe not. Maybe she shouldn't be able to do the same things when she's on the ground as opposed to when she's in a tank, right? Like maybe she's got like spinny whirly blade card, and you don't necessarily want her to be able to do that if she's in a tank. Although in this image, it does show her stepping out of the tank waving her lightsaber. So I think you could make an argument for either way, but I think it'd be really cool. And especially in Veers' case, all of his command cards sound completely thematic with him being inside a vehicle. But let me know what you think. I think it's a fun way to begin the discussion on what Field Commander could evolve into, what it really means to you versus what it means to me. I think it's a fun discussion to have. And this is just the beginning of the discussion. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Hop in Discord and let's talk about Field Commanders. I think they're pretty fun. Also, don't forget, there's a contest going on in Discord right now for the Legion Wild and Crazy painting competition. If you haven't already, hop in, take a look at some of the entries. They are awesome. I'll be probably announcing the winners for those in a couple of days, so there's still time left to get your submissions in. If not, we have regular Legion picks, discussion threads where you can just submit your paint jobs or look through the other paint jobs that people have submitted. Lots of great paint jobs. We have those for all of the different games too. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much. Big thanks to my patrons as well. You guys are amazing and help continue to support this channel. Thank you so much for your continued support. And as always, have a great day.